Imagine this. You're finally done with your song that took you several hours and maybe days to make. But then you're left with this one task, which is mixing. In this video, I'll show you how I personally mix my Phonk songs and show useful plugins that are great to use for your final mix. There's no official right or wrong way to mix songs in my opinion. This is just my own way of doing it. You can decide whether you like it or not. Don't forget that my Electro Phonk kit is on a 40% sale right now. The first thing I'm going to talk about is something called peak controller. It's a method for sidechaining. If you don't know anything about sidechaining, I'm going to show you right now what it does. If you somehow didn't notice what happened when I turned it off and on, if the peak controller is on, then the kicks in your song will turn down all the assigned tracks and volume every time the kick plays. If it's off, you can hear that the kicks make every other melody and bass sound crusty and muddy. Here's how to use it. You first of all go to your plugins tab and find Fruity Peak Controller. The volume speaks for itself. This decides how much the other melodies will go down in volume when the kick plays. The bass is the one that's telling the melodies what volume they start on and go back to in the mixer. Drag that to about the point I'm dragging it to. And the decay decides how fast the volume of the melodies go back to bass again after the kick was played. Now follow exactly what I do here. This is how you assign different melodies to the peak controller. You can assign as many as you want. There's a ton of other tutorials that explain in detail how peak controller works if this sounds too complicated for you. Next up is Fruity Parametric 2. There's tons of different equalizers, but I'm going to use this one because it's the best free alternative. When you're editing the cowbell, you should always keep in mind to turn down the low frequencies in the equalizer. The reason for that is because you're going to have a bass layering the cowbell. A bass consists of pretty much only low frequencies. Keep in mind to balance your songs out when you're making it. If you think you got too many different melodies with high frequencies, lower some of them and keep everything balanced. If your mix sounds bad, it's probably because you've got too much low frequencies. Beginner producers often struggle with that. Now let's talk about the limiter. And before we get into that, please for the love of God stop using Fruity Limiter when Soft Clipper exists. The thing a limiter does is keeping everything in the song under 0 decibels. Anything over that value will result in the song having some cracks throughout the song which you don't want. The big difference between regular Fruity Limiter and Soft Clipper is that the limiter will cut your bass extremely much. Soft Clipper doesn't. Every time you make a song, slap a Soft Clipper onto the master and you're good to go. I'm now going to show you some external plugins that are really useful when making Phonk. Ozone Imager is to make your melody or anything else sound wider in your headphones. Very good for atmospheric Phonk songs. Kickstart is a simple sidechain plugin that is less advanced than Peak Controller but doesn't do the exact same job. It creates a sidechain on only one track, plus the kick doesn't affect it. Valhalla Vintage Verb and Valhalla Room are incredibly good sounding reverb plugins. They both go hand in hand and are really customizable. OTT is a very simple plugin that pretty much boosts your entire song and makes it louder. A lot of people just put that on the bass. Now, these are just some examples of how you can make your mix sound better. I am in no way even close to being a sound engineer though, so don't come at me. A big part of mixing is to just get the volume right on every sound you put in. The rest are just extras to spice up your song. If you have any further questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll see you in the next video.